You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. I'm your host, Brandon Pillar, producer Ross, pushing the buttons behind the scenes as it seems a little bit like deja vu here. The Ottawa Senators lose again, this time 6-2 to the Boston Bruins in Boston. And this game had a lot of similarities to the game that I had boots on the ground for on Sunday at the CTC, where the Sens lost 7-2 to the Carolina Hurricanes, a 6-2 loss here. But the similarity in both of those games is, despite this being a bottom feeder team in the Ottawa Senators and up against the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins, two Eastern Conference powerhouses, the Sens were in this game after two periods, and Brady Tkachuk made this one interesting, scoring with just 2 seconds left in the second to make it 3-2. But what happens in the third period? Well, unanswered goals by the opponent. On Sunday, it was 4 unanswered goals, and tonight it was 3 unanswered goals by the Boston Bruins. That we have a saying, Ross and I like to say, putting lipstick on a pig. Well, the Ottawa Senators, it's almost like they took the lipstick off the pig on this one, and they made things even uglier than they had to be. It's getting old covering these types of games, and I've covered a lot of losses for the Ottawa Senators. I get to do this one on my own, thanks to 83 people in the chat that are here with me. I need you guys because it is miserable over here in Sensland. The dumpster fire of a team, of a season, continues to burn on here, and we're running on fumes trying to make it to the end of this season all in one piece. A 6-2 loss to the Boston Bruins when it didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be this bad. And here we are covering a terrible, terrible loss. I was trying to think, so you guys know it's the Postcast. We vent to revive. But this season, we've had to add 2 different types of postcasts. We've added the fine cast, where we've been like, we're not partying it up here, but we're also not pissed off. And we've also added the tank cast, where it's like, okay, this team's tanking. We have to be comfortable with that. That's just where we're at, unfortunately. We have to settle into the tanking. Sometimes you got to take the L's and say, hey, at least the silver lining is that the draft pick can probably get better, or at least the percentage that the Senators have in the draft lottery increases with losses. As this game was going on, I was trying to decide, is this a tank cast? Is this a fine cast? Not somewhere in the middle. And then just the third period deteriorates into an absolute debacle, and we're on full tank cast here. It's a tank cast, as Kieran says here, tank cast, baby. Yeah, that's what this is. And the Ottawa Senators, they end up having good stretches of hockey here. And it seems like continuously they're able to hold teams to no shots for extended periods of time. In the second period, the Ottawa Senators held the Bruins without a shot for 6 minutes. And it's 2-1 at this point. And then Chychrun takes an interference penalty, and Brazeau, household name, y'all know him, he scores on the power play to make it 3-1. That's with just 1:09 left in the second. And you're thinking, okay, well, that's going to be the back-breaking goal. That's going to be it. But then wait, Brady Tkachuk gives this team, gives the fans a sliver of hope that maybe it won't be that bad. We're probably going to lose. We all knew that, but at least it's 3-2. You get that last second goal going into the third period, the second intermission. It's the captain. Hopefully you get a bit of a boost here. But no, that did not last long, as the Boston Bruins were able to put this one away comfortably in front of all the Boston fans at the TD Garden. We've seen hat tricks before up against the Senators. That's for damn sure. But I've never seen a full-on bear costume thrown on to the ice. Like, that's where this team is at. Like, they're throwing costumes onto the ice. Or just an absolute joke here. Thank you, Adam, for the late B-Day wish there. Appreciate that. Adam says, don't want to hear young core anymore. It's all just bad. Trade half the D-core and the goalies. At this point, I can't really blame you, Adam. The decor wasn't at its best tonight, particularly six. We'll get into more of that later on. And the goalies, they can't really stop a thing. I mean, Corpusalo, classic Corpusalo game, though. He did have a couple good saves to start the game. I mean, the very first play of the game, Corpusalo makes a huge save on Trent Frederick, who's somehow left all alone in front, and Corpy comes up with the big save. But I feel like I can't even get that excited about Corpusalo big saves anymore, because you're like, cool, you made that big save. When's the week one coming through? And I don't know. People in the chat can let me know. It didn't seem like this was your Corpusalo game where it was a weak goal that kind of ruined things here. It just kind of felt like the Sens slumped, and they decided that there was no hope for them coming back in this game. And then the third period just slipped away from them there. And ultimately, if you let your foot off the pedal for a second up against some of the top teams in the league, no, the top team in the league in the Boston Bruins, first in points in the entire league, they're going to pounce on you. The big bad Bruins are going to come out of hibernation, and they're going to pounce on you, and they're going to claw you just like they did here. And on today's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast, we talked about guys on the Bruins. I mentioned to Ross, hey, look out, my lookout player, Charlie Coyle, no goals this year. You know he's going to score one. And then I tossed out, hey, he'll probably even add a hat trick. And then Ross quickly said, if anyone's going to have a hat trick, it's probably Pastrnak. And then we moved on. Not a big deal, kind of just joking. David Pastrnak did have a hat trick tonight. And it must be so cool to be a fan of good teams with breakout ability players like David Pastrnak. I mean, he was all over the place here. Like, even if we'll bring it back to the start of the game here. The first goal of the game, Zacha has it in the corner, and he's trying to make that pass from the corner of the ice all the way across to the D-man. And Giroux looks like he's going to break it up. Veteran guy Giroux, he's used to making those good defensive plays, but Pasta he outsmarts him, ties him up. Giroux can't break it up, and then the point shot happens, and Pasta tips it past Corpy, and that's 1-0 right there. And as Ottawa Senators fans know, it's not an Ottawa Senators game unless they're scored against first, and they're trailing in this one. And yeah, people in the chat saying Ali Dez saying, or oops, wrong one there. Ali Dez saying, must be nice to have a goalie. They have two. We don't even have half of one. And that's not even a hyperbolic statement. Like, this team has nowhere near good goaltending. And the Boston Bruins have maybe the best goalie tandem in the entire league. I mean, Linus Ullmark won the Vezina Trophy last year, and he was in trade rumors here because they have such a good goalie in Jeremy Swayman that they're able to dangle a Vezina Trophy winner goalie as an extra piece. The Ottawa Senators would kill for one of those guys, let alone a Vezina winning goalie. Like, what if this team had not terrible goaltending, not bad goaltending, not average goaltending, not better than average goaltending, but amazing goaltending like the Boston Bruins? This would be a whole different scenario we're talking about here. Mind you, the Ottawa Senators would probably find a way to screw that up. So maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself here. But this game essentially was the Boston Bruins flexing their goaltending. Linus Ullmark had an incredible game by all accounts. And then David Pastrnak, one of the top players in the entire league, dominating and taking over and getting a hat trick. I mean, Ullmark and Pastrnak could have beaten this Ottawa Senators team on their own. Would have been a 3-2 win for the Boston Bruins if just those two guys were on the ice. I'm convinced that the Sens would still find a way to lose that. And it didn't take long for the Ottawa Senators. They said, hey, we're down 1-0. Let's make it 2-0. Let's see how bad we can really get here. And this is a tough one because Timmy tries to make a pass to Chychrun from the half wall. But again, David Pastrnak, he's such an intelligent player. He's not just a big shot that scores goals. His hockey IQ is off the charts. He read that pass all the way. He gets a step on it, steals it, breakaway, nice little head fake, and then the backhand. Sure, Corpy gets a piece of it, but ultimately it trickles in. 2-0 Boston. 2 goals on 4 shots. Corpy's sitting with a 50% save percentage. He's stopping half of them. Not even through the first period, 4 shots in. Ottawa Senators fans are used to that, though. We're used to that. So you're down 2-0 now, and the Boston Bruins are able to get that heading into the first intermission. Now, things start to kind of look up for the Ottawa Senators, as in the second period, definitely probably some harsh words were said in that dressing room because they came back a lot better in the second period, I thought. And they're given a little bit of luck here from the hockey gods. They get a 5-on-3 opportunity. They're hitting posts. Sanderson hit the crossbar with the slap shot. Sanderson's slap shot has been a lot better recently. It seems like he's had a lot more confidence with his slap shot, but hits the post, unfortunately, here. And yeah, Always Sends chiming in saying 6 has been awful since the new coaching change, but this team needs a shakeup. Thank you, 6. Or no, not thank you, 6. Thank you, Always Sends, for the happy late birthday wish. Appreciate that. But yeah, they're getting opportunities, and Timmy had a nice shot off the draw. Batherson snapshot from the corner. We saw him get a game winner from a weird angle like that, so that's kind of been his spot where he finds a soft piece of ice and hopes he can beat the goalie there. He beats the goalie but doesn't beat the post there, and the Ottawa Senators aren't able to get anything. Well, I shouldn't say not able to get anything going, because they did get some good momentum, hit a couple posts on the 5-on-3, but it's like the old saying says, if you can't score on a 5-on-3, you don't deserve to win the hockey game. And the Ottawa Senators, unfortunately, that rang true. The Ottawa Senators go 1 for 4 on the power play here. Okay, 25%, not bad. The Boston Bruins go 2 for 2. That's good for 100%. So you're not going to beat any teams when you're allowing 100% goals when you're on the penalty kill. And the Bruins are able to do that. Now, the Ottawa Senators, like I mentioned, this second period was a good period for them. Solid play up against a really good team. Peak gets an interference penalty, and the Ottawa Senators get going here. They get cooking. Chabot gets it over to Giroux. Giroux goes to the dot, and Giroux to Pinto on the bumper has been a consistent play on the power play. Honestly, even going back further than this year, like Pinto and Giroux kind of have had that ability to make that play work. But what I like that Pinto does here is he finds some soft space and he floats back from that normal bumper position. So no one's really covering him that tightly. And he's able to get that pass from Giroux and one-time it, and it slips through Ullmark. So that's the power play goal for the Boston Bruins. Then, like I mentioned, the goal that kind of really did it here, Chychrun, interference penalty, and Brazeau, big body screening in front. Korpisalo makes the save, but he's not able to jump on that rebound. JVD's out front, but he's not able to contain the big body there, and Brazeau gets it and buries the rebound. So that's 3-1 for the Boston Bruins. And at this point, there's 1:09 left in the period. You're starting to think, okay, classic momentum goal against the Sens. They're done here. But like I already mentioned, Brady Tkachuk, he was able to battle, goes to the net, doesn't give up on the play, even though the seconds are ticking down on the clock. And he makes it a 1-goal game heading into the third. Like, for the Ottawa Senators, for it to be a 3-2 game heading into the third, that's a good position to be in. And they dominated in that second period. They outshot the Boston Bruins 23-11. And they're only able to win the period off of a goal with 2.3 seconds left. Like, that is, you should not be that desperate at that point. So heading in to the third period, it's 3-2 for the Boston Bruins, and we'll break down the rest of the game on the other half here. Guys, I know it's tough to be a Sens fan, but there is one place where we can find solace, a safe haven for Sens fans. And no, it's not the Canadian Tire Center. I thought it was, but I was there Sunday. That was not a safe place for Sens fans. But the GCP is a safe place for Ottawa Senators fans. You guys already know it's the Glebe Central Pub. They are the official sponsor of the Postcast, one of our OG sponsors. And we love the GCP because they love Sens fans just as much as all of us do. Me, producer Ross, all 134 of you in the chat, we are all welcome at the GCP. And they're doing their absolute best to get Sens fans to Sens games. Whether you want to go or not, they're going to help you out going, because you can take the Send shuttle, check out their website, Glebe Central Pub, and you can find which games have the Send shuttle. Sue, legendary character, Sue. If you haven't been on the bus, you haven't experienced it, Sue is the absolute best bus driver in the entire capital city. I'm convinced of it. She'll pick you up at the GCP a little more than an hour before the game. Have your drinks, have your food, hop on the bus with Sue. Sue will take you to the game. Enjoy the game, have a couple pops. Don't worry about bringing the car keys, because Sue will bring you all the way back, meet her at the parking lot, and Sue brings you back to the Glebe Central Pub to keep the good vibes going, or to drown herself in sorrows after another inevitable Sens loss. So check it out, guys, the Glebe Central Pub. And as Ross likes to say, the vibes are free at the GCP. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper. It is almost the end of the Ottawa Senators season, but regardless of where they are in the standings, I want to remind you that although the Sens never win big, you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. If you want to get some action on some other sports, you can do that. Fans can also play daily fantasy NFL, NBA, MLB, and college football. I love the app because there's a good group chat going. You can let your buddies know you're going to have a big week, talk some smack, and time is money, so entries can be made in under a minute. All you got to do is pick whether studs like Brady, Timmy, Claude Giroux, Jake Sanderson will record more or less their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in any given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you got to predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me, Sens fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. Check it out, guys. Sleeper. Okay, big sigh. We're getting back into this. Sens fans, thank you guys for being in the chat here. The Postcast, sometimes you got to use the Postcast as a bit of a therapy session to get it all out. So it's a vent cast and it's a tank cast all in one. I feel like almost every single Postcast is some sort of form. Yeah, the Overmaster. That's what I'm talking about right here. He says at this point, is this a group therapy session? Yes, it is. It is. We're all trying to figure things out here, and we're doing it together. So thank you guys for joining. So it's 3-2 heading into the third. There's a sliver of hope, just a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And then Pasternak says, nah, I'm going to put a hat over that light with the hat trick. And again, it's Pasta. It's so incredible to watch him. It sucks that it's never a good thing for Sens fans when he's good, but he sends it through the crease. Shattenkirk brings it to the net. Corpy gets a paddle on it, so he breaks it up, but then it goes right out to the slot. Sens players are trying to dive at it. Joseph trying to get a block. Pasta gets it, and he just makes things look so damn easy. Like just a backhander from the slot easily beats Korpisalo. And that's his hat trick. Like, it's just so damn easy for a guy like David Pasternak. I mean, it's got to be easy for a guy that has 44 goals. He came into the game with 41. He gets 3. He's now at 44 goals. The Ottawa Senators don't have anyone close to that amount. Brady Tkachuk leads this team with 30. 14 less goals than David Pasternak has here. So it's incredible what he's able to do here. And I mean, you just got to give stick taps to him. He's one hell of a player, and he beats the Sens very consistently. And then you're thinking, okay, it's 4-2. Just let us drain the clock out here. Like, it's like beer league when you know the game's over. Just drain the clock, get everybody home to bed, off to work in the morning, quicker the next day. That doesn't happen. The Boston Bruins, they start playing with their food a little bit. It's a bear at a campsite, just playing with the campers' food and just having a good time. Because the Sens couldn't even last 30 seconds without allowing another goal. And it's already 4-2 at this point. They've already doubled up on the Sens. 25 seconds later. And this is really where I had my biggest issue with 6. Because Jesper Bokvist gets it. And he turns Jacob Chychrun into a turnstile, a pylon, easily gets around him. And this was a classic beer league player who's on a 3-minute shift, Chychrun, and he's just hacking and slashing, hoping to slow up the guy at any point because he's not going to catch him. Bokvist just easily maneuvers around him, puts the turning signal on, passes him, and then goes right across the crease and scores. Anytime a player gets in that tight on Korpisalo, I think I speak for all 126 people here, you're kind of like, well, that he's going to score here. There's no level of confidence when Corpy has to make a save like that, and he doesn't get it. Although I'm not blaming Corpy mostly on that goal. I'm putting a lot more blame on the defenseman there that gets turned into a pylon, but that's not great. And it's not done there, unfortunately, because Brazeau, again, household name. You guys all know him, all-star. He gets another goal behind the net, spins, uses his frame to protect the puck, and then roofs it in tight. 6-2, the Boston Bruins. They triple up the Ottawa Senators, and that is the final goal of the game. Thank God. Because Sens fans, I don't know if I could handle another 7-2 loss. I can barely handle another 6-2 loss here. So in 2 games, math guy, the Ottawa Senators get outscored 13-4. And if that's not going to piss you off as the leader of this team, I don't know what will. And Brady Tkachuk kind of gets unhinged at the end of this game. And it's kind of typical Brady too. It's not like he's going after Charlie McAvoy or Brad Marchand or David Pastrnak. Nope, it's Lauko. Brady's upset with Lauko, and they're getting into it, and he's like, look, the coach is not going to allow me to fight you in a 6-2 game here. I'm just going for a quick change. And Brady is just incensed at this point. Like, he's got to have a piece of him. He's on the bench, and Brady couldn't even be concerned if there's a puck on the ice or not at this point. He's just furious. He wants a piece of Lauko. He's challenging him on the bench. I don't know if there's any lip readers out there, but you got to think that Brady was saying, get off the bench. I don't care if you get a penalty for too many men, if you have to call your own number for a line change, get off the bench so I can beat the wheels off you here. And I think probably, again, if there's lip readers out there, Lauko's probably saying, buddy, look at the scoreboard. Don't even bother. And then the rest of the Bruins bench gets on him, and the ref just says, Brady, take the L here. Go to the dressing room. Get the hot water in the shower while it's there before the rest of your teammates get in, because you're done. You're done. It's over here. And that's how this game ends. That's kind of the image of the Ottawa Senators here, getting the absolute wheels beat off them, and Brady Tkachuk being pissed off at some scrub. That's the Ottawa Senators season. And yeah, Noodle said it. Pastrnak better wear that bear cape. If you're listening the tomorrow morning, Ross pulled up a picture of Pasta with that bear costume that was thrown on the ice. He's wearing the bear, and he's holding up the hat trick puck. I mean, the only issue I have with this picture, you got to get the 3 pucks. Just 1 puck for the hat trick doesn't have the same oomph to it. But, yeah, must be fun to be a Boston Bruins fan, as they add insult to injury here. And I don't know. I wish I could be more upset. I wish the Ottawa Senators were in a position where this game actually meant anything, where this game actually mattered a little bit, and I could be pissed off. It's like the old dad saying, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And I've been disappointed over and over and over and over. We're over 1,000 episodes of the Locked On Senators podcast, and we've covered 0 playoff games. I mean, heck, we've probably only covered 6 meaningful games, 6 games that actually meant something and had some sort of consequences for the Ottawa Senators. Oh boy. All right, what do we got from our guy Hot Lunch here? Hot Lunch, thank you, appreciate it. UFA goalie, internal solutions, or trade? Fix goal. Can I take all three of those options, Hot Lunch? They're going to need a goalie somehow, some way. There's no way that they can run it back with Forsey and Corpy. Internal solutions, yeah, this management group has their work cut out for them. They're going to have to figure out which guys are part of the problem and which guys are part of the solution. And trades, they're going to have to make trades, and they're going to have to make more impactful trades than they did with Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, I know their hands are tied, not much leverage there. I get it. But they're not able to really recoup any assets that are going to help this team anytime soon, or probably won't even help this team anytime in the future either, unfortunately, with mid-round picks like that. It's kind of a crapshoot. So they've got a lot of work cut out for them this offseason. With the draft is going to be huge. You guys know you can find Ross and I. We're going to be covering. If you guys thought we covered the draft in depth before, Ross is raising the bar, and we're doing more prospect profiles than ever. So I hope you guys like prospect profiles, because you're going to be getting, I think we landed on 80 is the number that we're doing. We're probably going to do 80 prospect profiles. So I even felt like we should have told Pooley when we had him on the pod, hey, if you need any scouting reports, any info, we got 80 prospect profiles for you. If the new scouting group isn't quite ready, we got you guys. We'll help you out. So the draft is going to be huge. Hopefully you can find a free agent that you don't give 5 years to and then consider buying out the next year. I think everyone knows who I'm talking about there. And hopefully you get a little bit more, you get more fortunate with health. Obviously Josh Norris, that's going to be a tricky situation that we're going to have to continue to monitor and deal with, and it's going to affect how this team lines up through the middle of the ice, which is very important for the Ottawa Senators. You're going to have to make some trades. Certain guys are going to have to be out of here. I think we all know probably who I'm suggesting at there. And they're going to have to really shake up this culture, because Brady Tkachuk is the leader of this team. I believe in him as the captain of this team. He's a young guy that's had to deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of losing, and a guy that comes from a proud hockey family like the Tkachuks is going to have a hard time with that. He's got an ego, that's for sure. It's got to be tough for him to watch Matthew have all the success he's had, and Matthew gets a massive contract in a tax-free Sunshine State and got to play in a Stanley Cup final last year, while Brady is just at the basement of the league yet again. The Ottawa Senators in 28th place here. So here we go again. It's crazy that Ross and I were talking about this before the show started. It's crazy that this team is worse than years past. Like, this team was supposed to be the best iteration we've seen in the last 6 years. They're certainly paying for it like it was. They're before the LTIR of Josh Norris. They could barely fit under the cap here. And if Pinto didn't have to take a low ball 1-year deal 41 games into the season, they would have been screwed, because they put so much money into this team and this roster. And yet they're one of the worst teams statistically that we've seen here. It's insane. So I don't think there's one simple solution, Hot Lunch, to kind of answer your question where you ask how are they going to fix this team. There's not one solution. It's got to be compounding things that you work on that fix this team. New coaching, I think that's one maybe that you left out. That's going to be a big thing. Ross and I are going to be covering the coaching search big time on the Locked On Senators podcast, and hopefully coaching can help smooth out. Not that Jacques Martin, I'm not putting this all on him. Certainly, interim head coach in his 70s that came in an awkward spot here. It's not on him, but they're going to need a coach that can turn this thing around. That's for sure, because a 7-2 loss and a 6-2 loss is not going to cut it this late in the season, even up against good teams like Boston and Carolina. So we're going to continue to slug on, to keep grinding for you guys. You guys know at the Locked On Senators podcast, we're not shying away anytime soon. We're doing the postcast. We got episodes every day from Monday through Friday, including tomorrow, of course, your team every day. So thank you, everyone, for being here with me at the Locked On Senators podcast. This is the postcast. It was another edition of the Tank Cast. 130 of you guys here. I appreciate that. And I thank you for joining me here in this edition of the Postcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. The Ottawa Senators lose 6-2 to the Boston Bruins. You guys want to do a spin? I will. It's a tank cast. We will do a spin. I'm not going to deny you of that. We'll do one for me, one for producer Ross, one for the people. The classic 3 spins. Ross, hit my first one. Okay. Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard in Chicago. Awesome. Love that. Love that. All right, Ross, hit your spin. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, not much movement there. Columbus moves up 2 spots. Chicago and Anaheim down. San Jose gets the pick. We've said it before. No real issue with San Jose getting the pick here. Whatever. Let them have Macklin. The Citizens. Okay. Look at that. Second overall, right where you want to be. Second overall for the Ottawa Senators. The Pilsy draft pick spot. Second overall. We love that. Let's keep it at that. No more. Second overall for the Ottawa Senators. They're drafting a right shot defenseman that's going to turn this thing around, or at least help turn this thing around. And Ross and I will be in Vegas to celebrate that pick. That's the Citizens pick. You guys deserve that. You guys earned that pick. You guys earned that lottery. So well done, Citizens. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yep. The Pilsy number 2 special. And I know you don't like that take of me wanting number 2. I know that. We talked about that at the game. But number 2 is where I want to be. So I don't mind that whatsoever. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging around with me, for joining our Sens fan therapy session here. I really appreciate it. For myself, Brandon Pillar, for producer Ross, clicking the buttons behind the scene, for all you guys in the chat, for the Glebe Central Pub, where the vibes are free at the GCP. Thank you for tuning into another edition of the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast. Check us out for our episode tomorrow on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, because you guys know with the Locked On Senators podcast, it's your team every day.